This week, one listener is happy with her appearance, but her boyfriend, well, not so much. At what point and to what extent is it okay to ask your partner to change? Or should we just love them just as they are? But first, being happily single and independent is great, but could that also be the root cause of continued singleness? Welcome to the talking phase. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the very first episode of the Talking Phase podcast in the year of our Lord, 2025.
Woo, woo, woo! Happy New Year.
By the time this drops, this will be 2025. I hope everybody had a great time, but also a very safe time on New Year's. We have an amazing year planned here on the show. We have so many great topics to cover, great emails that we've already started working with. Obviously, to help us achieve those plans and to grow this family, please take a minute, rate and review the show. If you've been listening, if you haven't been listening, well, judge us at the end of the show and then rate and review us. But with that, if you don't know who we are yet, my name is Tom, and I am joined, as always, by the beautiful and talented Pam. Pam, tell us what's happening. That's a beautiful red shirt, by the way.
Oh, thank you. So many talents I have. I feel like if we make it to 2025 without these drones or aliens or whatever they are, screwing everything up, we will have some really great shows. I've been sending you videos on TikTok because I am on Drone Talk right now, where all that's happening in New Jersey is like an inundation, Whoa, what's
Is that a word?
No, I just said the wrong word. It's being overwhelmed.
Invasion?
It's inundated.
Inundation.
It's inundated with drones. And so I'm driving my family crazy because I'm sending them all these videos because I am just so drawn to these bus-sized, car-sized freaking vehicles flying around our country. And if it's the end of the world, I have realized that we have not taken any notes from these disaster movies we've been watching for decades because we're all just sitting around going outside to check them out and talking about them on TikTok, and the government saying nothing. So I find it fascinating. I feel like they will just probably go away as quickly as they came. Otherwise, it was nice knowing you, Tom. But
yeah, nice knowing you too. I will tell you this. My favorite alien movie of all time was Independence Day. And do you remember the people in various cities, but I remember the one in LA where they were all up on the roof of that round building. I think it's record.
I remember.
Records, and they're up there holding signs and everything. Yeah.
Please take us.
Yeah, that would be me. Because it's like, and I'm going to do that if there's ever a nuclear thing too. It's like, yeah, I'm going to get up on the roof and watch the fireworks. I mean, let's go.
I don't know if that was Independence Day. I feel like that was a very sad movie, and they were all just standing there at the end waiting for that last moment. Independence Day was like a super action flick, and they saved the day.
No, that was right before they shot straight down through the Capitol Records building.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I don't have a clearer memory of that, but it's bizarre. It's been a bizarre 2024. Next time we air, we'll have a new president. I think he's going to have his hands full. Hopefully the drones will have disappeared by then, but there will be a lot of other things. But 2024 went really fast, and I would say it was a really, really good year. By this time, Nikki will have moved out of the house. I will be an official empty nester.
Nice. Welcome to the club.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but you have a girlfriend now. And so I feel like being an empty nester and having somebody come over would be great. So I am ready for the best relationship I will ever have in my entire life to start anytime now.
Wow. There's an invitation. So men that are listening, you have Pam's email. It's talkingphase@gmail.com. That's how you can get a hold of her. You don't have to slide into the DMs on TikTok or anything. You can actually just send her an email.
Yeah, send me an email. But you have to be willing to move to North Carolina because everybody knows I don't do long distance. I learned my lesson in 2024. That was my only New Year's resolution this year, was to never do another long distance relationship, even though I talked to a couple guys that live far away that I probably would date if they lived closer. I will not do it. So I will follow that resolution.
Here's a piece of advice for all the guys out there that are hitting their keyboards right now. Punctuation, we learned last week, very important. Don't say the word ain't. I would strongly suggest avoiding attaching dick pics. And
I don't get those.
well, but now that you've got an email address, maybe they will. Who knows? Just
I hope
guys,
not.
just be, and you know what? This isn't just for the email to Pam. Don't be like that on any of the apps or anything. Why would you do that? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Ugh, disgusting.
Yeah.
Disgusting. I'm
Yeah.
glad they can't send pictures on TikTok. I can't imagine what would be in my inbox.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm ready for a relationship, but it has to be a great relationship. Nothing less than great. I learned a lot about myself in 2024. And yeah, I feel like I'm going to take that into 2025 and find exactly what I'm looking for, or have a fantastic year with my friends and family.
Perfect.
And you, how is life for you in 2025?
Well, since we're recording this before 25, I'm going to assume that 2025 is awesome.
Future you.
What's that?
Future you. How is future you?
Future Tom is so happy. I will tell you, life here in Utah, I've been here about 6 or 7 weeks at this point, far better than I expected it to be. I think anybody who's listened to this show for the last couple of months has heard me like complain about, shit, I have to move back to Utah. It's far better than I expected, even though, as you can see here behind me, it is now snowy. I live in an apartment, and with a garage, a parking garage, so my car doesn't get snowed on at night, and somebody else shovels the snow. And those were the two big complaints. So really, as long as it doesn't snow a lot during the day, I don't have to like even brush my car off. So I'm pretty good. But it's great seeing family. Still having an absolutely fantastic time seeing Laura.
Stop bragging.
People keep saying things happen for a reason. Time will tell. It's still very early. I'm not moving as fast as I have in the past. She isn't either. We're spending a lot of time together, but it's not. Yeah, we're trying to be smart about this.
Sounds like you're not doing the horizontal mambo.
Well, we won't talk about that here.
Not moving as fast.
Yeah, but that actually. Spending time like that actually brings me to the topic that I want to talk about today.
Okay.
Even though we're not moving as fast as some people do, I don't know if it's weird or atypical or not, but even though we're still 5-6 weeks into the relationship and we just barely DTR'd a week and a half ago, we already have plans all the way into December 2025. We have tickets to shows and events and stuff like that in Salt Lake and elsewhere throughout the year. So clearly, this isn't just about, we like being together. We are both thinking about this as a long-term relationship. And so that has gotten me thinking about long-term relationships a lot. And what would change in my life if this is truly that long-term relationship? And I start, what has to change in my life, or what would change in my life? And am I excited about those changes? Would I welcome those changes, or do they scare the shit out of me?
Or both.
Or both. Yeah. Because you know what? I have a very independent life. I love my life. When I got divorced, I was terrified that I was just going to sit around being lonely all night and never doing anything. But and it took a while, but I actually really enjoy being single. I enjoy my independence. I get up when I want, I go to sleep when I want, I can eat crackers in bed if I want. I can sit on the couch and I can fall asleep on the couch and not have someone make fun of me if you never stay awake during a movie. Life is simple. But I've always said, and I do truly believe, that life is better when it's shared. I believe that. And even though I love my situation, I have become even more picky. People make fun of my list. That means that it's too picky, but it's not about physical appearance and stuff like that. Although those are all important. Everything on my list is still important. I'm not saying it's not important, but it becomes a question of, is this person, in this case, Laura, is she, this sounds so arrogant. Is she good enough for me to be willing to make the changes that are going to happen in my life to welcome her in as part of my life? And also, for the first time, I started thinking about her life. She's happily single, happily independent. Am I worthy of the changes that would have to happen in her life? So that, she might be hesitant to mess up her own happiness and singlehood. So I'm just want to talk about, have I, and I'm asking you as well, you already kind of announced that you're ready for that relationship, but have we reached that point where we've become so independent and so used to being single that we almost preclude anybody else from coming in and messing up our singleness?
Self-sabotaging, you mean?
Yes, it's the Pygmalion effect.
Yeah, it's a great question. And when I say, I'm ready for this great relationship, bear in mind that it is super easy as a single person who is not dating anybody right now to say, I am ready for a really great relationship, because I don't have anybody, over here on my shoulder saying, hey, I'm ready to move in. I'm ready to take the next step. I know you like that music, but that's not really what I like. So let's listen to this instead. And I know you really want to watch that show, but you know what? I love this show. So let's watch this instead.
Mm-hmm.
And no one's snoring next to me, and no one's telling me what I can set my thermostat at, or where I can put my stuff in the bathroom, or complaining that my laundry's still in the dryer. So I have a list a mile long of
Wow, you
things that
do.
and none of them are written down. This is just, everything that comes to mind. And this is such a small fraction of the changes that we make when we're in a long-term serious relationship. It's life-changing. And everybody knows who listens to the show that I was in a long-distance relationship that ended a few months ago. And we had talked a lot about things that would need to change for us to be happy together. We were very, very different people. And I had a list that I started of things that he felt were really important to him that I either didn't care about or didn't agree with or didn't want to do. And I had to weigh whether it was going to be worth it for him to move to my area and eventually move in with me. Was I going to be able to make all of these changes and these sacrifices? And honestly, and this might be different with you and Laura, I was never really comfortable in my skin in that relationship. And I blame that on long distance. I'll never know whether it's the distance or not. But when you're only seeing somebody a few days a month, it's hard to ever hit that level of comfort that when you're spending 3 or 4 days a week with somebody like you guys do. It's just impossible to get there. You either are all in and you're just throwing the shit against the wall, which seems to be my new slogan, or you're really nervous. And I was terrified. I was going forward, and I tell my friends this all the time. I was going forward with the hope that when he moved to the area and we spent more time together, those things that he felt were really important would turn out to not be as important to him as he thought they were. So I guess I was hoping that he would change. And anybody can tell you, and does tell us, that you cannot go into a relationship hoping to change somebody else.
Right.
They shouldn't change for you. They need to change for themselves. And he loved who he was. He had no intention of ever changing. So I was completely delusional. And and so that wasn't going to work out. So when you talk about all of the sacrifices, and then I list all of the things that I do now as a single independent person, it's very hard for me to think about this great relationship that I'm ready for in terms of, holy shit, I'd have to give up all of these freedoms. And so it brings me back to an episode 2 or 3 ago, living apart together, where I feel like if you're crazy about somebody and you're both independent and you both have your own homes and you're financially secure where you don't need to live together in order to live a great life, I feel like it's a great option for people who don't want to make a lot of changes to their creature comforts. So, I mean, that's where my head is.
And I agree with all of that. And it's an interesting, because dependence or independence isn't necessarily about, you know, financial dependence or, that kind of stuff. But
Right.
there's a certain level of emotional um, dependence. If you're in a relationship, I believe that it requires you to be in a relationship if you actually care about the relationship. Let's make sure we call that. If you're actually caring about your partner and caring about that
Right.
relationship, I think you have to allow for at least some form of emotional dependence, which means you have to let somebody in, um, which again, in turn, means you have to allow some vulnerability on your own part, which again flies in the face of being independent. And so it kind of like you're forced if you're in a relationship. Again, we're not talking about financial dependency or anything else. I'm saying
Right.
you become dependent in some way, shape, or form. Am I
Yes.
am I wrong?
No, I think you're 100% correct. I think emotionally, I am 100% ready for that relationship. If anything, my last relationship proved to me that I even want a relationship. I
Mhm.
I I know in hindsight, and hindsight of course is 2020, that that wasn't the right relationship for either one of us. But now I have a lot better understanding of what I'm looking for in a partner. And I think I have a tremendous amount, and this is not to pat myself on the back. I think I have a tremendous amount to offer
Mhm.
somebody as a partner. I think that I like to be giving and I like to really listen when somebody talks, although I am known to interrupt on occasion. Um, but I think that emotionally I'm there. But physically living together, I would have to be head over heels in love with that person. And I would have to hate every time that they left to go home, as opposed to, wow, they're gone. I can relax. I can sit here and tweeze my eyebrows and nobody's going to give me a hard time. And I can get up and brush my teeth at 10 p.m. if I feel like it. And I have a laser mask that I put on at night with red light that I put on every night, which keeps my skin really nice. And I lay on this mat on my bed. It's called an acupuncture mat, and it's got needles, plastic needles that come out of it. And I lay on that for 30 minutes every evening just to decompress, all your muscles let go. And this is a routine that I have followed for years now. And I have to be comfortable enough to do those things in front of somebody if they're living in my space. Otherwise, I'm ready for them to go at like 8 p.m. so I can get that shit done. So
So did y'all just hear Pam has frickin' lasers? Um,
it's an LED light
oh,
mask. So I look like an alien. It's just a white mask, looks a lot like Jason from Halloween. And it's
sweet.
got red light therapy, and it's just really good to build collagen in your face. I could be selling it right now. But yeah, I see them all over TikTok. I had mine long before that. But yeah, there's a lot of things that I do, and I'm sure there's a lot of things that you do. What are some of your favorite things to do when you're alone? Keep it clean. Um, that you would be, "Oh, I don't really know if I want somebody to see this."
Well, wow, you put me on the spot there. I'm
Well,
gonna.
you do that to me every episode.
I know, I do. I would say that uh, the one that I think is probably the I get up every morning and I do a intense cardio workout um, in my underwear.
Do you
Um,
sweat?
oh, profusely, um, and and that's why I do it in my underwear is because I don't want to have to wash gym clothes every day. Because
I bet it's
I'm
hot. I bet it's so sexy to watch.
Oh yeah, because you get all this skin flopping around. That's awesome. And I don't
I'm
want
dying.
that. I would have to. That's one of those things that it's going to take some, like you said, it's going to take getting to know someone pretty damn well before I'm willing to like stand there in my skivvies doing that. So I guess for the when I'm in. If Laura and I are ever at that point in our relationship, I'll be doing it in gym clothes for a long time before there's any skivvy working out. But
Or wait, well, you could have 2 bedrooms, or, you could have
well,
a
I do it
space
in the
where you
living
do
room.
that, where the other person can't see you. It's kind of like going to the bathroom. You don't go to the bathroom with the door open, so you don't
Yeah,
have to
no,
work
I,
out
I
in front of somebody else.
I do it in the living room. It takes a lot of room. So,
Ah,
so let's get. I want to go back to
I see. You
being
wanna
independent.
Mhm.
Um, people talk about, and we've talked about it on this show before, that once you're divorced, People have gave me a lot of advice. You and I have talked about it. I think we both disagree a little bit on this one about waiting a year after the divorce before you start dating. I never understood that. I did not follow that advice. I wish I had. I really do. Um, the reason I wish I had is because basically the way I introduced this topic is I now kind of understand that I have reached this point of solitude or whatever peace in my life.
Peace is a great word.
Yeah, I've reached this peace alone. I'm on my own and I'm good that way. So it's now inviting someone in to enhance my life rather than fill my life. And I think
Right.
that's a really important distinction. But there's this risk that if you wait too long and you become so accustomed to that peace on your own that it's basically given everyone in the world a bird saying no
Right.
one's good enough to invade my peace or to what I don't know if that's the right word. So my question, do you think we've waited too long? Are we out of the game here?
I don't think so. And mainly I think that's because we have both always said that we're open to it. And there are so many people that leave us comments or write in and say they will never have another relationship. And part of that might be because they've tried for so long that their self-esteem is or their ego is just deflated. And so they've really leaned heavily into being single
Right.
instead of keeping their options open. I'm certainly not going to say that after 4 years of dating and dating apps and relationships that haven't worked out, that I'm not a little deflated, but it really hasn't affected my self esteem or my ego because I feel like those are things that come from within. Like, if I'm doing everything that I can to take care of myself and to be the best that I can be, and I have a lot of friends who I think really like me for who I am, then I tell myself that it's not coming from me not being good enough or so set in my ways that I don't qualify or I don't have a need, or which I don't have a need for a relationship. I don't think you have a need for a relationship. You can fill emptiness or a void with a multitude of things, whether it's hobbies or friendships or going back to school or a job, whatever. Um, but I think if you still really want to have somebody in your life to bounce things off of, to go to a show, to cuddle, to rub your back, to if you have a cold, to bring you a fucking tissue.
Hmm.
Whatever the case may be, if you still want those things, if you're not one of those people who's sitting there saying, I don't want those things, I am perfectly capable of getting up and getting my own juice and my own tissue. I don't want somebody to check in on me. I can do it on my own. Then you probably are not going to find a relationship again. But I believe that as long as we're open to it and still want it and value it and think that the right person that we fall head over heels in love with, that we don't want to have days where we don't see them. And I don't mean a day or a few hours. I mean, like, when they drive away, we're sad. We want more and more and more. For those of us that feel that way or want to feel that way, I think that there's still opportunity. Do I think I will meet somebody to fit that bill? I have no idea. I hope so, but I have no idea. But I definitely don't think we've missed the boat on this.
Okay. Well, I'm going to make one last comment. Man, we can keep talking about this all day if we want, but my last thought on this is, as I was thinking about this independent versus dependent and stuff like that, I read a book years and years ago, like 30 years ago, called Codependent No More.
Mm,
And it talks about the evils of codependency. Um, and I think that there has to be a balance between independent and codependent. Um, I need to be able to stand on my own, but
right,
allow somebody else in. And I think that's the balance. And I think a lot of us, especially at our age,
right,
who've been divorced for 5 years or 10 years, or in Laura's case, by the way, she's been divorced for, I think, 18 years, 19 years, something like that. So, I mean, the bottom line is it's a big change to be in a long-term relationship and allow some interdependency that you haven't had to
right.
have or allowed to have. So that's the balance that I think we have to hit. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that you don't necessarily have to answer to somebody to be in a good, serious relationship. I think that I look back on my marriage and I was always answering to him. I was always scared of him being angry or upset because I knew that that meant that there would be days where he would not speak with me, and just freeze me out. I mean, we had a very unhealthy relationship. And so I would never welcome that back in to my life, anything like that. But I think that as long as we're not settling for people that are going to make our lives any worse than they are today, if we meet somebody and this person lights us up and we look forward to when we're going to see them and we hate when we're apart, I feel like those are things that matter the most when you're sacrificing, and you are sacrificing some of your creature comforts, not necessarily your independence, because no matter who I'm in a relationship with, I'm still going to spend time with my friends. I'm still going to travel with Nikki. I'm still going to have a podcast on dating and relationships, and they may not like that. So somebody who comes into my life and tries to control me is never somebody that I'm going to have a relationship with. The right person who comes into my life and says, God, I love your family. I love your kids. I love that you have this podcast. I enjoy it, or they don't even have to listen to it. I could care less.
Right.
But they're happy for me that I learn about myself and help people maybe learn about themselves. Somebody that really wants to be my partner is going to be welcome into my life. And in what way? I don't know yet. Like, am I going to live with somebody? I don't know. I feel like you can have a great relationship with somebody and still have your own space. I think that I hope, or I wish, that I would want to share my space with a man again. It's very hard for me to imagine that because of my marriage, because we literally fought about everything from the thermostat to what I was going to make for dinner. And he was a chef, so he was going to hate it no matter what I made for dinner. He would eat it and say he was grateful, but I knew he hated it. Somebody who makes you feel bad or somebody who doesn't light you up is not somebody who you're going to want to make major life changes. Letting somebody move into your home, that's as big a life change as you can get. And when we air this episode, Nikki and Adam will have been living together for about 3 or 4 days in a very small townhouse, temporarily for about 5 months until they can get out of his lease and then get into a bigger place together. It's huge. And in our 20s and 30s, it was so exciting. The thought of sharing space was so exciting.
Yeah.
It does not excite me right now. Having this conversation with you, there's not one bone in my body that feels like I would be excited to welcome somebody into my home who is going to want to change things. So,
well, maybe if they put the right bone in your body.
They can do that and still have their own house. So we'll leave that there. But at the end of the day, if I am in a relationship, not living with somebody, and we agree on all of these creature comforts, or at least find a compromise that I can live with, and I cannot stand to be away from that person, I am open to a more dramatic living situation change.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Not at this recording.
Yeah, not as of this moment. Yes.
And clearly you're not there yet either, but your relationship is super early days.
Yeah.
I feel like that's many conversations that you have. I had many conversations with the person that I was in a relationship with about things that we felt strongly with, and we felt very differently on those things. And so those were red flags. I chose to ignore them. I think for a while he chose to ignore them. But I don't think that we would ignore them again, especially when it comes to living with somebody.
Yeah, well, I think we all tend to do that. You get into a relationship and you ignore the red flags. So
yeah, but so then it goes back to an episode 6 or 7 ago where I said, have I not learned anything? Do I still see everything through rose-colored glasses?
Yeah.
Am I not getting any wiser? I think I am, but time will tell. So whoever you are out there, I'm sending this out into the universe. I'm ready for a relationship, but I don't necessarily know that I'm ready to live with somebody.
I predict an influx of emails this week.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. We'll see. We will see.
Yeah.
All right. Is that it on this subject?
I think so.
All right. What's up next?
You've got mail.
Look at that. What's up next? All right, here we go. Pam and Tom, I am a big fan of your podcast. Thank you. It's been such a comforting and relatable space as I navigate the ups and downs of relationships. I
Wow.
want
Hold on.
to go.
That's the best compliment I think we've ever received.
It was very nice. I felt very flattered. It immediately went up to the top of my list of emails.
Awesome.
I wanted to reach out for some advice about something I'm struggling with in my own relationship. My boyfriend has been suggesting that I change certain things about my appearance, like the way I wear my hair or the clothes I choose.
Whoa.
He says he thinks I'd look more attractive and younger if I made these changes. But the thing is, I'm really comfortable with how I look. I like my style and how I present myself. While I want to make him happy, I'm uncomfortable with these requests. It
Mhm.
feels like he's not fully accepting me for who I am, and that's been eating away at my confidence a little. I don't want to feel like I have to change myself just to keep him interested. And she signed it, I like me just fine.
Holy crap.
Let's see. What do you got, Tom?
First off, the balls on this guy. The fact is, I don't know why it's okay. I don't know why society has made it this way, but it's perfectly okay for women to tell men to change their hairstyle, that they like their beard or they don't like their beard,
Your
or
shoes.
their shoes or whatever. Women can tell men that they look like shit 100 times a day and it's perfectly okay. But if a man says it to a woman, holy crap. I'm listening to this. I started sweating because I'm sitting there going, this dude is just opening himself up to emails like this. Because that's just not okay. Men can't do that.
But it sounds like you're saying that this is not a very fair society.
No, it's not. But it is our society. I mean, you look at, I mean, there was a trend on TikTok just, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago. I remember where a bunch of, a man and his wife, clearly people our age. These are people that have been married for 20 or 30 years, that they would be sitting on a couch and the husband would say, here's a list of things that my wife tells me all the time that I can never say to her.
Right.
And they were hilarious because they're 100% true. Because men cannot, you can't. And so
You're not wrong. I'm certainly not going to argue with this. Is a huge double standard in this world when it comes to this.
So my first question to, how did she sign it?
I like me just fine.
So we're going to call her just fine. That's too many syllables. So, okay. Hey, just fine. My question is, do you offer him that similar advice? Do you tell him what he can and can't wear and how he should wear his hair? And if you do, then why the hell are you having a problem with the double standard? Maybe you're shaking his confidence too. And by the way, I'm not accusing you, but it certainly wouldn't surprise me one drop if you are telling him what he can and can't wear and how he should and shouldn't wear his hair. I'm just saying. What are your thoughts?
I would think that I would feel the first thing that comes to my mind is that I would feel like that she doesn't do that to him, because if she did that to him, she wouldn't think it's so, judgy for him to do that to her.
You all do it, Pam. and I very rarely make general comments about men and women and genders and stuff. This time I will. Women all do it.
Well, okay. So I think it depends on what level of criticism we're talking about. Like, the last person that I was dating happened to like a pair of shoes that when I see them on men, I just find them super cringy. And I asked a lot of women how they felt about those shoes, those Birkenstocks. They're like these, I don't know, moldable, really hideously ugly sandals. And
you talked about this on the show. They're Birkenstocks, if I remember.
Right. They were Birkenstocks. And so I told him right off the bat that I found them. Well, he actually told me right off the bat that they were some of his most favorite shoes. And then he had dated a girl who told her that she didn't want him to wear them. And this was one of our first conversations. And all I could think of was, oh, shit. Now, like, I don't have an avenue in. I can't believe she did that. Like, wow, what a terrible person. She didn't like your shoes. And all I was thinking is, oh my God, those are the ugliest shoes. And now I don't have a way to manipulate this where I can say, well, you don't wear those much, do you? I mean, so I do agree with you that as women, we are judgmental on some things. But I can honestly say that I don't remember ever criticizing a man's hairstyle if I met him with that hairstyle and that was how it was, and I just accepted it for what it was. I mean, I've never said I want you to grow your hair longer. Now with facial hair, there's a little bit of wiggle room in there because a lot of men have, like, especially on dating apps, different pictures with different levels of facial hair, and a lot
Hmm.
of people also ask, like, "Do you like it like this?" And I'm all about giving an opinion if I'm asked.
Sure.
Um, but also, my ex would tell me on multiple occasions that thought that I looked much younger when I put my hair up in a ponytail or when I had it off my face. And so in my mind, that was a criticism, even if it wasn't intended as a criticism. When you say something multiple times, I have never been comfortable putting my hair up unless I'm at the pool or the top's down on a car or I'm working out, I'll put my hair up. But other than that, I prefer it down. And I think it's a age thing. As
Yeah.
women get older, we're told we're supposed to have short hair and we're supposed to go gray. So I really enjoy having long hair and not putting it up. And so I felt like when he would tell me to put it up, and say I look younger when it's up, well, clearly I look older when it's down. So I think that that's not that different than, what did he say to her? He said, my boyfriend has been suggesting that I change things, like the way I wear my hair or the clothes that I choose. So what's the difference between my ex telling me that I would look younger if I wore my hair up and her boyfriend telling her that he wants her to change her hairstyle?
Well, okay, a couple of things. First off, I've only known you for what, 8 months or something like that. And I will say a common theme from Pam is she does not like the fact that she's aging. And so
Does
if,
anybody? It's
well, I
better
don't
than the
know.
alternative.
Yeah, I don't know, but you have a platform and you talk about that you don't like the fact that you're aging, and you wear the laser mask and you do this other stuff to
Yes.
prevent the aging from happening. And so if someone is saying you look younger when you do X, I don't know if that's a criticism. I'm trying to help you hit your goal of looking
Oh,
younger.
that's a
Now,
cop out. I think that's a
I don't
cop out.
think so.
I think that's a cop out because if the person really wanted to, if this woman really wanted to change her hair, she would change it. And instead she's writing to us and
Well,
saying,
I understand, but if someone wanted to look younger and someone said, "You look younger when you do this," that's helpful, right? And maybe that's the way he's thinking. Now, men are stupid. I'm the first to
okay,
admit that.
yeah,
Um,
I guess from that perspective, he was just trying to do me a favor. But when I heard it, and maybe this is
mhm.
her, maybe she's internalizing some of the things he's saying. We don't know what he's actually saying, but I feel like you say it once and the person hears it, and then they either take it into account and do it, or they don't. When you say it twice, I think, or three times, or four or five, however many times he's been saying this to her, it starts to feel like you are asking somebody to change. And we only change for ourselves. So,
Right.
if I felt more comfortable with my hair up, whether it made me look younger or not, if I felt more comfortable with my hair up, I would have changed my style. And I didn't. And clearly, she doesn't want to change her style. So, should he continue to tell her things that he doesn't like about her or things that he wants her to change? Or should she just tell him, listen, in my book, she should say, I'm comfortable with these things. She wrote it. I like me just fine. So that's what she should be saying to him. When he says, I'd like it better. I went on a date with a guy a long time ago. He told me on the first date, he told me that for all of our future dates, I'd be wearing skirts and dresses and high heels.
Fuck
And I
that.
said, and I said, I won't be, because there won't be any future dates.
Good
Almost,
answer.
I'm almost 6 feet tall. I'm not going to wear high heels unless I feel like it. And I wear dresses and skirts all the time when I feel like it.
Yeah.
Um, I don't like anybody to tell me what to do. So if I'm her and he's constantly telling me to change my hair and my makeup or my clothes, yeah, that's a huge red flag for me.
Well, and here's the thing. I'm the first to admit I don't look at magazines, or I don't have any fashion sense. I don't know what the styles are. I don't know what's in and what's out. So I solicit advice from people who I think are stylish and are up on that kind of stuff. As a matter of fact, I was looking at a coat on TikTok, a trench coat, and I sent it to I almost said her real name, Laura. I sent it to Laura and I said, what do you think of this? And she goes, oh my gosh, I love those. And I'm like, well, okay, that's all I need. Um, but
And for
but if she,
$19.99, you could have it.
right, no, I think it was $43 or whatever. And but if she had sent me that and said, you know, that coat you wore on our date the other night, you should replace it with this one. That's a completely different thing. And
Right.
so, but at the same time, it would be completely acceptable in our society for her to do that.
You're not wrong. I can't lie because I remember sending my ex pictures of shoes that I thought looked better than those Birkenstocks. And in my opinion, I was doing him a favor, but he loved those shoes. He didn't want that favor. He wanted to keep doing what he was doing. And at the end of the day, we are who we are, especially in our 50s. Our comforts, whether it's a certain type of clothes, whether it's maybe she's wearing yoga pants all the time and he's like, wear a dress.
Or maybe
You
she's
know,
wearing Birkenstocks.
maybe we're not going to know. She wasn't specific, but what it comes down to is, should he be telling her to change her hairstyle? Should he be telling her that he doesn't like what she wears? Whether it's acceptable or not for women to do it, this email happens to be from a woman and a man is doing it. So what is your best advice for her as a man in this situation? You've been probably at times in your life married for a long time. You've definitely whoa. You've definitely dealt with this in your life. So what did you do?
Well, for my advice to what did she say? I like me just fine. My advice to her first is look inward and ask yourself if you've done the same thing to him. And if you have, then shut the hell up. And if you haven't, and when I say haven't, I mean really honestly haven't. And by the way, I just doubt you haven't. But if you truly have not tried to get him to change his appearance in any way, what is it? People in glass houses shouldn't throw stones or something like that.
Right.
Bottom line is, if you truly are innocent of doing this ever in your life, then by all means, have a little chat with him and say, you make me feel like you don't find me attractive, or you're shaking my confidence. It always comes down to communication. I mean, that's always the first thing we're going to say. But before you have that communication, you better damn well have not done it to him. That's my advice.
And in a relationship, there's generally always one person who loves more. I mean,
It's
it's
sad
just
but true.
it's always been the case. There's been that one person who loves more, fell harder, is a little bit further ahead in the book, whatever the case may be. It is possible that she is that person. And when you are that person, I have been that person in the past. There is not one thing I would change about that man. I mean, like, it's one person that stands out for me in my entire life, that there's no question that I loved him more than he loved me. I didn't marry him. I wasn't in a long-term relationship with him, but I was in a relatively long relationship with him. And I never in a million years could have seen one thing about that man that I wanted to change. Not one. I also can't remember him wanting to change anything about me, but it's possible that unfortunately he's not as in love with her as she is with him. And if
Mm-hmm.
that's the case, he's trying to be more, to fall more, to feel more. And in doing that, he's trying to change the things that maybe he feels get in the way of him falling more. Maybe it's just a piece of clothing. Maybe it's he really likes women with long hair and she has short hair and he wants her to grow it out. Whatever it is, she's listening because I let her know when we're doing the podcast. Um, you know, I'm not going to tell anybody they should change for somebody else, but
No.
how much do you want him to fall in love with you? And if he's not already in love with you and you like you just fine, don't change one thing. I wouldn't change one thing. I didn't change one thing and that relationship ended.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I don't know what those things are. I don't know how serious it is.
I think, I mean, what it comes down to, obviously, we all change, we all grow, we all change ourselves. But if you're changing because of you and you want to be better at X, or you want to look better, or whatever it is, if it's all about you wanting to be better, even if it's being better for your partner,
Right.
that's great. But as long as you're changing for you, not for somebody else, I think that's a wonderful thing.
100%.
And if you're the partner that's saying, hey, I'd really like it better if you did X, Y, or Z. I mean, think about this. You said to your ex that you didn't like Birkenstocks. Well, okay, that's one thing. But if a man is saying to a woman, it'd be awesome if you had a boob job. Okay, those are the kind of things that, that's a different level, right?
Yes. Yeah. I was hoping you weren't going to compare. I was like, is he going to say that's apples and apples? But
Oh, no,
you're not.
no.
You're saying that's apples and oranges. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's like if a woman said, I mean, women,
Apples
again,
and grapefruits, maybe, or
yes,
melons.
society has said women can say men can change. But if a woman says to a guy, hey, I'd like it a lot better if you had girth enhancement surgery or something like that. I mean, there's just, you can't do that shit.
Right.
You just can't. At least you shouldn't.
And it's ironic. It's ironic you say that because like I had breast implants for 20 years and I was a double D and I was married to my husband the whole time. And I decided to have those implants out. And, I'm still probably like a small C, but I decided to have them out. And he did not want me to have those implants out. He was a boob man. He talked about how much a boob man. I know that was his favorite part of my body, and any woman's body. And so when I told him I was going to have them out, he was upset that I was going to have them out. And I said, listen, I'll be smaller, but I'll get a lift. They'll be perkier, whatever. Maybe that didn't even turn out to be the case. But at the end of the day, I had the implants out and we separated 4 days later when I got home from having that surgery. And we had a multitude of other problems, but I've always believed that the straw that broke the camel's back was that I had those implants out. Now we mutually separated. It was not our first separation. And to this day, he never did see my boobs post having those implants out. And I'm positive that everybody that he dates after me will have large boobs. Like I knew he was really unhappy with the fact that I was making this decision about my body. And so I stand firmly on that. If you are comfortable with who you are and you like you as you signed your email, be proud of who you are. Don't let somebody else change you.
Absolutely. But don't try to change anyone else if you're not willing to listen.
Agreed. 100%. So with that said, thank you so much for your emails. You know that I read every single one of them and I always will. If you have a question, a problem, something you'd like our advice on, or if you just want to give us suggestions for the show, please email us at talkingphase@gmail.com. Again, that's talkingphase@gmail.com. Like I said, I'll read them all. We love hearing from you. You can take our advice or leave it, but we will give it to you. So please send in those emails.
Yeah, we definitely will give advice. It may not be the best, but hey, what the hell? Thanks everybody out there for not only listening, but also interacting. I think we're building a little family. The Talking Phase family is absolutely so much fun. So please take a minute, rate and review the show. Send us, when you do the review, you don't have to say a whole lot, just a couple of words, are you willing to change? Tell us what you think about what you talked about and what we talked about today. Be sure to share the podcast with your friends, your family. Follow us on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and everywhere else that Pam works so hard to curate. And until next Friday, we do this every week. And welcome to 2025, everybody. But this is our first episode, but we're signing off. So thanks for listening. This is Tom and Pam. We're out of here.
Have a great day, everybody. I hope you had a happy new year. I can't wait to see what's in store in 2025.